Welcome to the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast, the show committed to helping you dismantle the destructive mindset programs keeping you stuck in the proverbial bunker of poor performance so you can get out of your own way and play to your potential. My name is Paul Salter. I'm a high-performance hypnotherapist and mindset coach with 16 years of experience helping thousands of individuals like you get unstuck. This podcast features a collection of solo episodes, conversations with scratch and plus handicap golfers, and master classes with top experts in the performance psychology space. The one goal? To help you make playing to your potential a habit. Hey, fellow golfer. Welcome back to another episode of the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salter, the golf hypnotherapist, and I'm thoroughly excited to introduce you to Mr. Justin Tang, who is a distinguished golf instructor based in Singapore, renowned for his holistic approach to golf coaching that integrates technical proficiency with mental and physical conditioning. He began his professional teaching career in 2005 at Singapore's oldest golf course, spent significant time learning from the top instructors all over the world, and currently serves as a club professional at Tanah Merah Country Club, something I definitely probably butchered in the pronunciation, which I am sorry for, which is one of Singapore's premier golf establishments. And get this, he's also the co-host with our good friend Jesse Perryman of the Flag Hunters podcast. And today, I'm really going to challenge you. Listen to this episode at least twice. The depth of insight and wisdom that Justin shares has the potential to not only dramatically improve your golf game, but to dramatically improve your life. Without further ado, please help me welcome Justin to the show. Mr. Justin Tang, thank you so much for joining me on an episode of the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. So early for you, 5:30 in the morning. I'm greatly appreciative. How are you today?
I'm good, Paul. Thanks for the invite. As they say, the early bird catches the worm.
Yes, and we're going to dive right in.
I always believe, right, in life, if you learn to do hard things, things become easier. And there's no better time to do a hard thing than to wake up early in the morning.
I agree. It's also much quieter, more peaceful, and an opportunity to get more things done without interruption.
Exactly. I've got two young daughters, 8 and 6. I love them to the ends of the earth and back. But sometimes when they're around, I tell my wife, I can't hear myself. And early in the morning is when I can really hear myself. And I get inspired. I find ideas. I find solutions to problems that bugged me the day before, to students' problems. Oh, why can't this guy do that? Oh, okay, that's why. And it's the most creative part for me.
I get that. And it's interesting you note that because I often share, and my audience knows this, the voice of the subconscious mind, the place of intuition, your creative power. The voice is silence. So when we find those moments of silence, peace, solitude in the morning, it's no surprise to me that you're telling me that's when all the creative insights and solutions come to fruition.
Yeah, and silence doesn't really require silence. It requires introspection. So when you ride the subway, when you ride the bus, when you are walking on the street, you can be amidst chaos, but you can be silent inside. And I think once people understand the difference between the two, they embark on this journey of self-discovery, of enlightenment, of enhancement, if you will, to their lives. If we are only aware of what we're doing, of awareness, then we can find solutions to the problems that befuddle us.
Yes. And for me, I come back to there's just this inward strategic tunnel vision, if you will. You're able to block out, filter out, maybe is a better word, the noise of your external environment. And I'm curious, with all of the great athletes you've coached, knowing that there is so much noise during a round of golf, of course, but also perhaps the media, social media after the fact, what can our listeners really take away to begin to develop that skill of introspection and awareness to block out that noise?
Well, to be fair, in this day and age, post 2007, with the advent of the iPhone, it's getting a bit difficult to live an undistracted life. Social media is one of the main culprits. For my players who play for a living, I usually tell them after 5 p.m. the night before an important round, I would just switch off your Instagram, your TikTok. It only serves to distract. Now I tell them, think about this, right? When you're putting for par from 5 feet on an import on sat on Friday to make the cut, and when the thought says, "Hey, do not pull the putt," I said that's not a random thought. It came from somewhere, because when you are putting, that random thought doesn't say, "Hey, don't throw the basketball over the backboard." It's always specific to your task. So there's this saying in when it comes to our diets: you are what you eat. Well, you think the thoughts you consume. What you consume stuff from social media. You consume stuff by hanging around with poor players. You consume stuff when you hang around with people with a poor mental attitude. All that feeds in. Why do we think, why are kids fearless? Because they've not been contaminated. Everything we read, everything we hear, somehow hooks into our mental library. And we know this from the works of Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett. The brain predicts. When we're in a situation, the brain starts to predict what might happen using the library of precedents in our mind, and says, "Hey, I think with a certain amount of probability, this is going to happen. Let's tell this nut job not to do X, Y, and Z." And we know, when I say to you, Paul, don't think of the pink elephant sitting on your margarita pizza. What's the first thing you think about? Well, the pink elephant on the pizza. So that's the ironic reactance theory. Now, so when it comes to having a clean slate, it's a bit difficult. But let's have a better slate of mind. Let's be a bit more selective in the people we speak to. Let's be a bit more selective in what we read and what we play on our phones. The handphone is a double-edged sword. It can be a tool for greatness. It can also be a tool that leads you down a path that you don't want to be on.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. We were just talking about that offline before we hit record. It's a beautiful tool. It connects and makes such a vast, large landscape feel incredibly small. I mean, Justin and I were just talking about mutual friends we have in common. He's thousands upon thousands of miles away, yet we've got close related friends here in the States. So it can be powerful. And I often come back to, when speaking directly to the phone, just like you mentioned, I'm a big believer. You're either consuming or you're creating. For me, the creation is something more positive, productive, whereas consuming, not only is it planting the seeds of negativity, thoughts, information that is not necessary and may be detrimental, it's consuming your energy, your attention, distracting you, holding you back from perhaps something more productive or what you may need to be doing to go perform at your potential.
Yeah, don't let the little things set us back in life. I always use this with my players. I said, think, if you only had 1 week left to live, will that thing bother you? What's the first thing you're going to be doing? I said, I'll guarantee you, the first thing you think about will be your family. You won't be thinking, "Oh shit, I missed that 4-footer." I hate that guy because he says that about me every time. He gives me that snide remark every time I see him. I say all these things will fade away. So have that mindset. What's really important? Well, If you only had 1 week left on Earth with your folks, and at the end of 7 days, you're going to be sent to Mars, never to come back again. What's the most important thing? Fixate your mind on these things, and all these distractions will just fade away. I like what you talk about, the conscious and the subconscious. A lot of people think that's like airy fairy. But when we drive, we are actually in the subconscious mode. Think about this. When we first started learning, it's like, okay, we got to engage the gear, we got to put the key in the ignition, we got to turn the car on, we got to do this and that. 3 months later, the same guy that was going through all these steps, well, now he's got his right hand on the steering wheel, his left hand out of the window, he's hearing hip hop, his girlfriend's next to him, and he's oogling the girl across the street. Well, that's conscious versus subconscious. And you're talking about helping my players get out of the way. Whenever I work with someone new, that's the analogy that I use with them, just to help them understand there are two selves, if you will. There are two operating systems.
Absolutely.
You learn emotion consciously, but you gotta execute subconsciously.
I think it was, his name's Timothy. I'm looking at my
Galway, Tim Galway,
yeah,
the inner game of tennis. That was such a classic. Yeah. So that really spurred an industry of its own. So you've got guys that are like Fred Shoemaker that came out of it. Across the pond, Scott Cranfield, who influenced a lot of people. Kendall McWade, also guys. I'm trying to remember Peter Arnott, Graham McDowell. All these are so-called golf pros who have turned into learning scientists. Stuart Morgan, all not exactly household names in the likes of, say, Dana Dahlquist, Pete Cowan, great coaches also, but coming from a slightly different perspective.
Yeah. And I love the book for so many reasons, but the ability to break down in such a simplistic, easy to understand manner. There's the self one and the self two. There's the voice, the thoughts, the distraction of the first self, and the second self being the subconscious mind in this case. It knows how to do everything. It's self one that gets in the way and distracts you, or that's where we infuse doubt, fear, uncertainty, whatever it may be. So I love how you brought it back here. And I love the driving example too, because I like to then go one step further. Those last couple of miles are the same route you drive every day from work over and over and over again. You know, I call that highway hypnosis. You blink and all of a sudden you're home and you don't remember doing anything.
Yeah. And I read a really, really interesting book. Your eyes it plays a huge part, whether you're in self one or self two. So peripheral vision, and then you got intense vision. So whenever people squint and kind of narrow their field of vision, that this guy is not in flow. He's concentrating on something, but he's not in flow. So one of the tips that I use with my players is, when you walk down the fairway, angle your eyes up onto the right fairway, left fairway. So it sets you in peripheral vision. And then it kind of lowers the brain waves down. I didn't discover that. That came from a book on how the eyes work to affect the brain waves.
And, you know, there's a lot of research, too, under the umbrella of NLP or neuro-linguistic program that's all related to eye movement. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that. It makes total sense because, you know, we can get into the eye positioning for whether you're creating, lying, or whether you're telling the truth, or you're recalling, you're creating. So, yeah, the eyes are direct. Reflection's not the right word, but they're very telling as to what part of the brain is being used and what brainwave state you're primarily in.
That's interesting you talk about. Let me see if I can recall. When the guy looks up, he's a visual learner. He looks level, is an auditory learner. He looks down, it's a kinesthetic learner. Right? So something along those lines. Yeah.
So continue on that theme for me.
Which one? Like so some guys... So before, whenever I take a new guy, we always have a coffee, 30 minutes. Hey, let's talk. I want to know you as a person. The person keeps saying things like, "Oh, I see. I hear you. now I feel what you're saying. So all these statements are very telling. So do I particularly gravitate to like, oh, just keep using, this guy is a visual learner, keep using visual cues. Um, when it comes to golf, right, I kind of want to use everything V, A, and K, right? It's like the old joke. You see a $10 bill, $100 bill on the street, and what do you pick up? I pick both up. No one said you've only got to pick up the 100. You pick both up, right? And I've got this like big tool chest. So people talk about internal, external focus. What's that? Random block practice, serial practice. I said, guys, I use everything. If I've got to use everything to get a message across to you, I'm going to use it all. But of course, after 20 years of teaching, you kind of know, like, okay, for this problem, you're going to use X, Y. It's almost like a decision tree, right?
Yeah, I imagine you
So
have like a manual.
I've got a lot of requests from all these DM guys, like to put it down, and I'm slowly trying to piece things together on Notion.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got an under 30 short games so-called manual. I've got a matrix. So that's basically a combination of all the stuff that I've learned the past 25 years that I've been playing golf. Yeah. But I don't think it ever ends. I don't
No.
think it ever ends. And that's the great thing about golf and life, right? Like if you open yourself up to the universe and say, hey, I'm not the sum total of knowledge, past, present, and future. Like, I know that I don't know. Life gets really interesting. And it's almost right when you have that mindset. It's like every day you start learning things. And when I was younger, when I was like when I was 15 in my teens, it's like, this is too difficult to want to learn. Now my mindset is, this is difficult. How do I break it down? How do I master it? That's the mastery mindset that I want to share with your listeners. Be it in golf or any other endeavor, once you have that mindset, take it as a challenge. How do I get across that challenge? If I can't get across it, can I go around it? If I can't go around it, can I go under the problem? If I can't, can I charter a helicopter to fly over the problem?
And I hear at the core of that, it's just a curiosity for life, opportunity, challenge. What's this challenge going to teach me? And I feel like that's something, and you can elaborate on this, please, that I come back to with my golfers is, rather than reacting to poor shots, mistakes, and missed opportunities, can we choose to respond and reflect
Yes.
through a lens of curiosity? Because then we have that mastery mindset. We're open to new ideas and learning, which you and I both know, those all serve as little bits of fuel to rise to that next level of success.
Dr. Carol Dweck wrote this fantastic book, Mindset. She basically talks about two different types of people. One who takes failure as feedback and they just keep going on. So failure need not be failure unless you class it as such. It's not the be all and end all of life. It's feedback. How can I get better from this experience? And once you start at the meta level, you accept that, hey, look, I'm gonna make mistakes, right? Then it's, how do I make this pay? This is not the end. And once you have that mindset, your brain almost starts looking for solutions to solve a problem. For the elite players that you coach, I want to remind them the scorecard only has a box that's big enough to write a number. It didn't ask you for a narrative. How did you make this birdie? And I've done this so many times in my own playing career. I thin the driver out there, and I thin another 7-iron onto the green, and I sink it for birdie. It's still a birdie. The card doesn't care. The card doesn't care how that three came about. And I think in our minds, we almost want to have a certain narrative. We want control. We want a narrative of a par must be made in a certain manner, this script. Now, when you do that, you start to do things that are out of sync for that day. The universe has certain plan for us. I don't want to sound iffy, but think about this. There's so many factors involved in a game of golf. Temperature, the humidity, the winds. You could flush the best shot of your life off the tee. The winds suddenly change just as your ball hits the apex. It flies into the woods. What are you going to do? Well, I tell you what, pro golfer, your script is now messed up. And as the great philosopher Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face. What are you going to do? Now, if you have this mindset of, okay, my round has to be X, Y, and Z, well, now your script is upset. Brainwaves go up. What are you going to do, my friend? And this is why people go on tilt. The first shot of the day or the first round, they thought, easy hole, I'm going to make a birdie. I made a bogey. Guess what? They go on tilt, bogey, bogey, bogey. They go on the bogey train. So the thing is this, have an accepting mindset. Be super confident before each shot because what? I've done the work with Paul. I've done the work with my coach, but have no expectations. There are a few ingredients that I teach in the mental game. So we've got capacity, our potential. Then we've got our ability, where we are currently. Usually there's a gap between capacity and ability. And then we've got confidence. How much work have we done? How certain are we that what we're doing is going to produce what we desire? That's basically your mechanics, right? If you don't understand ball flight law, every shot it's going to be like what Forrest Gump says. It's going to be like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. And then after confidence, you've got outcome, the actual outcome of the shot. And then closely linked to outcome, what were you expecting out of it? If you were expecting a big, lovely draw onto the green, the outcome was quite the opposite. Now we've got a problem. The glue that holds all these together would be acceptance. You've got to accept that these things are such. You can be the most prepared, but the outcome may not be what we desire. So go in with a very confident mindset, but don't expect anything. You could flush again. I've seen this before, right? Dustin Johnson flushes a shot, hits the flag stick, goes into the water. What are you going to do? It's out of our hands. And I think once you accept this mindset, you play free. You don't really think about stuff. And that brings us back to we're driving on Highway 1. I'm not really thinking. I'm going at 60 miles per hour. I'm coming to this bend that's call it 15 degrees gradient. Do I really need to think of I've got to angle my left lateral bend, and then I've got to move my elbow in such a way. We don't think of such things. I was just telling this to one of my female students the other day who couldn't putt to save her life. I said the brain is brilliant but simple. It makes all these calculations when it sees slope, when it sees the different shade of the green. It knows what to do. But don't be telling it. Don't be corrupting that program. It's simple in that way. You cannot corrupt the program. You cannot go, okay, I'm going to bring my putter back this distance and I'm going to come through at this tempo. It doesn't work that way. It's like driving. You got to be free like driving. So once she understood all that, the next 5 putts from 30 feet cozied up next to the hole. She looked at me, I looked at her. I said, hey, it doesn't look like you can't putt. I said, all I'm trying to do is to educate you. I said, the word educate in Latin means to bring out from. The golf swing is easy, Paul. The game is difficult. These are two separate things. I think people conflate them to be the same thing. They're not. Hitting the ball is fairly easy, right? You got a stick You've got a piece of metal at the end of the stick, and you've got the ball. Once you understand how to use your tool, then it's a matter of repeating that action, making it longer, making it faster. And then you see, hey, the distance that I send the ball gets further. Well, that's your golf swing. Now, how do you adapt that golf swing and the shot to the course that you're playing? That's the difficult part. That's the game of golf.
For those of you listening, I can't recommend enough. Go listen to that last 10, 15 minutes again. There was so much wisdom there. And Justin, I want to get a bit more granular because these themes like acceptance, presence are so prominent. I don't think I've ever heard anybody phrase it as elegantly and impactfully as you just did. How do you begin? You've provided this first layer of education to your players. How do you then empower them to begin demonstrating, executing this in the midst of a round on the course?
It doesn't begin on the round. It begins with practicing that mindset. So I said, guys, you guys go to the gym, you do your bench presses, you do your deadlifts. Did you do a deadlift for your mind today? Oh. I said mindset needs to be practiced. It's a habit. People talk about muscle memory. You and I both know there's no such thing because the muscles have no cognitive function. I said it's habit. Habits all in the brain. Do I really like to wake up at 5 a.m.? Not really, but you still do it. It's a habit. So on the weekends now, by the way, I wake up at 5 to send my kids to school. So on the weekends, when I tell my mates, hey, I slept in today. Oh, what time do you get up? 7. So 7 becomes sleeping in. But when I was younger, sleeping in was 12 o'clock after a big night out. Like, oh yeah, but now the body can't handle that sort of stuff. But it's also a practice. So my kid's 8. The oldest one is 8. The younger one is 6. So I've been doing that for at least 8 years.
Wow.
And don't forget the night feeds when they were little babies. Like that's tough, right? But it's a habit. Your body, your mind gets used to it, and then your body just has to follow suit. I was in the military. That's what we used to do for 2.5 years. You do things you don't like, and then you realize, hey, I didn't know my limits were there. I thought it was here. So it's stretching yourself. You stretch yourself, then you realize, shit, I could have gone way, way further. And that's where you talk about challenge. You stretch your rubber band, the rubber band's not going to break. It's going to adapt. I don't think anyone has gotten to the point where they just die from trying. I don't think so. So back to players, right? The other day, one of the guys was saying, "Hey, what do you think of me going on tour? What can I do mentally?" I said, "Easy. From now on, when you go play 18 holes at the club, bring one ball, only one ball." I said, "If you're that good, that ball will come back intact." I mean, think about the ramifications of that practice, Paul. First hole, OB right, water left. You only have one ball. Imagine the crap that's going through your brain, the noise, the ticker tape. Don't do this. Don't hook the ball. Don't slice it. It's going to be more or less the same amount of pressure that you're going to face in a tournament when on Friday you're going to birdie the last hole to make the cut or save par to make the cut. It's the same tension. So you got to start practicing like you want to play. I said, far too often I see guys on the practice range. I said, hey, are you practicing for a 7-iron tournament? I said, what situation on the golf course will require you to hit 27 irons in a row? Which situation, I said, the only situation on the golf course that requires you to hit 2 drivers in a row is when the first one goes OB. I said the really elite players, and Stuart Morgan told me this the other day. He did a study. He said the really elite players that he interviewed for his PhD says they rather go play. Now think about this, right? If we are what we practice, then shouldn't you be out there? Unless you want to be tin cup, you want to be a range pro. But if you want to be a touring pro, a competitive pro, guess what? Get off that wooden horse, go ride a real horse. That wooden horse is not going to help you. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I'm soaking up so much. I know the listeners are as well. And I love that because you're absolutely right. We need to find ways to mimic and simulate the environments we want to have success and perform well in before we get there. So we show up and we're already a bit more familiar, because regardless of the preparation, there's still going to be an extra layer of tension, pressure, tightness, whatever it is for your own unique experience. And if your only practice to fall back on or preparation is 27 irons and 20 drivers off the range, you don't have anything remotely close to a comparison point, and you're far more likely to feel incredibly unfamiliar and out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's a saying in the military. And when we used to have to shout this slogan every day before we did some drills, some military exercises, it goes like this: the more we sweat in peace, the less we bleed in war.
Mm.
Yeah, so your level of training has to be so far, much more intense than what you're going to face on the golf course. So that hopefully your round out there is going to be a walk in the park.
I love that you said that. It's so timely because today's Thursday, March 6th. So this is this podcast will come out in a few weeks, but just today, I had a conversation on the podcast all about your beliefs. And you just had a beautiful example there where we fall to our level of training, we fall to our level of preparation. And we can also make the statement that we only rise to the level of what we believe we're worthy, deserving, and capable of. Well, guess what? The more you go all in and commit to higher levels of training, preparation that pushes you and expands you beyond your comfort zone, the greater the level of belief you have in what you're worthy and capable of accomplishing.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to accomplishment, it's quite important to understand the drivers for success. Far too many people associate success on the golf course, lower scores, with a better golf swing. Certainly that applies to a 24-18 handicap. But I believe once you're down to, say, about 5 range, then it gets a bit more interesting. So there's technique, there's skill, there's execution. The 5 handicapper generally doesn't have a technique problem. He may have a skill problem. So what skill? Well, you can't vary your technique enough for the shot at hand. Execution. You can hit a 7-iron, but you hit it over the green. That's an execution issue. Instead of hitting a draw, it becomes a hook. That's an execution issue. But if you're shanking a 7-iron, that's a technique problem. And I've been on so many tour ranges. When you look at all these guys, they're more or less the same. You won't see a guy shanking his 4-iron or shanking his 8-iron. Not going to see that. Sure, there might be differences in the club head speed. But generally, all these guys are going to hit something that resembles a decent golf shot. And then you've got the 2% of freaks who are like 180, 190 ball speed. Okay, let's put them aside. You're generally going to see, for the remainder of the 98% of golfers on a tour, hit pretty flush shots. Nothing crazy. But only one guy wins. So if all of them, and usually it's not the 2% freaks, it usually comes from that pool, that 98% pool. So if it's not a technique issue, because all these guys can hit the ball fairly well, they can control the golf ball. Otherwise, they won't have a tour card.
Yeah.
Do we agree? So what's the difference? So that when during COVID, I asked myself that question: what's the difference? Yeah, all of them have weird swings, different swings, not weird swings, different swings, Every single one of them has a different body type, has different anatomical proportions. Some guys' arms are longer than their height. Some guys have heights that are longer than their wingspan, for example. Some guys have bigger asses. Some guys have a bigger chest. And that's all going to affect how we move the golf club around our body. So can't be the swing, because most swings can win on tour. Most mechanically sound swings. So it's got to be something else. Well, not their diet. Some guys are huge, out of shape. Then some guys are ripped. We've got ripped guys winning. We've got out of shape guys winning. Can't be their nationality. Can't be what they eat. All these guys have different sorts of diets. So, and it led me to exploring maybe what goes into winning golf is something that we cannot see. It's the stories we tell ourselves. It's the things that goes on between the two ears that we can't see. And not many people will allow you into their mental space. And tell, hey, Paul, this is what I think of myself. I think I'm really a worm when I bogey the hole. Some guys don't care. Some guys go, okay, this making bogeys is part and parcel of the game. It's like running a business, Paul. In the first 2 years, you might be running the losses. But we know, as business owners and entrepreneurs, that's part of the game. We make losses year 1, year 2, year 3, boom, hockey stick. So we got to understand the nature of the game that we're playing. Mistakes will always be there. We can't be 100% perfect. So never let perfect be the enemy of good. I think here it's useful to remember Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule. 80% is good enough. We need not be perfect. And you just frustrate yourself when you try to be perfect. I mean, if perfect was important, then Jim Furyk wouldn't have done what he's done. One US Open, one round, he shot a 58 and 59 on 2 separate occasions. Career winnings, $71.5 million. And I said this to Mark Immelman. There are a lot of pros that I know who have beautiful looking swings. They want Jim Furyk's career and major championship, but they do not want his swing. So again, the direction we take to our objective may not be the one that we want, but we need to keep our mind on the prize.
So I hear there's got to be a level of emotional flexibility, mental flexibility, incredibly focused on the where with a strong emotionally charged why, and then an element of surrender and acceptance that the path you may have originally thought to get you there may not be the path. The path may look a little different, correct?
Correct. Let me illustrate this, Paul. Let's say you and I go play around. Our first shots, we slice it OB. Okay? Or I slice it OB, match play, I'm out of it. I'm going to re-tee. Guess where the re-tee shot's going? It's going to fly 30 yards past yours, straight down the middle. Why? There is no more outcome to think about because I have already lost the hole. So it's not a technical issue. Now, the key thing is, how do we get to that level? You got to keep practicing this mindset. As fatalistic as this may sound, the outcome of the shot is not going to determine whether you live or die. Well, I guess you make enough bad shots, you're not going to have a tour card. But if you really surrender yourself to this process, to this mindset, you keep training yourself, hey, I don't want to be thinking of the outcome. At some point, I don't know when, at some point it becomes part of you. To gain control, you have to lose control.
And I know,
It's
speaking
practice.
personally, that's my biggest challenge. And I know I have many like-minded listeners there, because in so many ways this game is incredibly simple, yet simple is not the same as easy. It can also be defined as incredibly complex, challenging, difficult as ever. But I love what you said there. In order to gain control, we have to let go, surrender. How can we take tangible steps to move to that place of surrender?
Well, we've got to start evaluating our shots from an objective point of view. Okay, hook it into the trees. I still have a shot. Don't be telling yourself, you idiot, what a stupid shot. Let's evaluate this objectively. So subjective is cat's cute. Objective is the cat is black. Like, there is no debate. So okay, this shot started left of my target and it went 15 yards more left. So I must have hit the outside of the ball in relation to the club path. Out. That's why it went this way. Okay, got that. So now your brain has something concrete to work on. It's not like, oh, good shot, bad shot. Why? Because the next hole is a dogleg left. You need to hook the ball around the dogleg. So suddenly, the bad shot is now a good shot. So when you start working with objectively, then your brain can come up with solutions.
Let me pause
Right.
you there real quick. Do you have your players, or do you recommend there is that level of objective self-talk after each shot to give that brain the objective data to work on?
Yes, it's a practice, because when we start learning the game, it's, oh, good shot, bad. And when most of us, we start playing golf with our dads, our friends, and all of them use this terminology. But just because everyone's doing it doesn't make it correct, given what I understand about the brain, how it learns. So now, once you understand ball flight laws, you know it went this way because of that. Oh, gosh, I didn't adjust myself. The ball position was too left. I'm going to just do that. So now you got something to work on. You know cause and effect. You know what went into the bad shot. Brain waves goes down. Versus like, oh, this flaky good bad thing. Like, I don't know what's going on. So you're in a state of flux throughout the entire round. You will always be anxious. But once you start using an objective frame of mind, so it gives you a sense of control. And there will be some control because you are an elite player. You know what's inside, you know what's outside. And then you can start to think of a solution. Okay, now I'm on the left side, near the trees. Okay, I'm gonna hit a little shot, run it up. We still have a chance of making birdie if I pull this off. And you mentioned about having clarity of thought. Once you accept that the game is such, you are free to perform. Think about this, right? Which particular group of people are happy when they lose money?
Those who are completely detached from it.
Yes, but there is a specific group of people who actually laugh, giggle when they lose money. These are the people that go to the casinos. When they go in there, when they put money into the jackpot, they know my odds of winning are so low. It's okay. They pull, and they pull. The $100 pot of tokens gone. They leave happy. But when golfers make bogeys, they are unhappy. Or when they make pars, they are unhappy. Because they have not fully come to the place where they accept these are the odds of the game. That making bogeys is a business expense of playing tournament golf. I will make bogeys. There will come a time where I make bogeys. When you have that mindset, you go, okay, it's just a business expense. Just like the casino guy. If you can take the casino mindset onto the golf course, you'll be a happier player. I always love to play golf with 18 handicappers and above. It doesn't take a lot for them to be happy. They just need a few flush shots, that's it. But you play with tour pros, oh my goodness. If they don't birdie every hole, they're unhappy. So they need to come to this place of gratitude. Hey, I can play golf for a living. I can be out on this beautiful golf course when the alternative is getting stuck in an office, in a desk job. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I much prefer the sun versus fluorescent light tubes. And once you realize, hey, I'm quite fortunate to be out there. Again, what does that do to the brainwaves? Goes down straight away.
Fantastic. So
And
I'm
you want to be in
curious.
that alpha state, right? Don't want to be in gamma, beta.
Yeah. I'm so curious to your answer to my next question. Because if I were in your position, I wouldn't be able to choose an answer. I would be so torn. But I like to ask many of my guests this question. If you had a billboard in the middle of the golf course that could be visible from every single hole to provide the most important reminder you feel all golfers need to hear or read in this case, what would that billboard say?
Just put Samuel Adams up there. Yeah, let's look forward to the 19th hole, right? At the end of the day, golf is a celebration of friendship. Again, back to that 1 week left on Earth. I would want to play golf with my dad. I've got many happy memories playing golf with him because it was him that introduced me to this game. I'm not even thinking of playing with Tiger Woods. Like that's just like so far out. It's a relationship. It's the friendship. It's the happy memories that you have that golf gives us. And that's why we play the game. Why? We must always ask ourselves, why are we playing this game? For some tour players, it's so painful. Like, why are you even doing this? You're so unhappy. And then when we get to the why, it's like, okay, they will find the what. Okay, what do I need to do? Once they clarify their purpose. So for me, golf is golf is a problem. It's just like trading in the stock market. It's a problem that's asking for a solution. That's how I see it. Some people may not see it that way, and that's why I'm teaching the game of golf. To me, there is a solution for everything, and we do not we want to address cause and effect, not spurious correlation. Hey, coach, today I shot 100. Why? Oh, must be the pizza I ate. No, it's not the pizza I ate. That's spurious correlation. It's because your grip sucks. You don't understand how your golf club works. That's why you shot 100. Don't be blaming Tony's pizza.
I did not expect that answer from you. And I am so blissfully surprised and grateful you shared that. I think that often gets lost that it's such a game of connection, relationship building. And, I can tell you, I have several playing partners now that were just random pairings on a random Sunday afternoon that now are dear friends that I play with routinely. And I think that often gets lost amongst many people, especially those listening who are pushing to the next level, trying to win the club championship, earn a pro card. And I'm very grateful you shared that message.
Yeah, sometimes right, like forcing your way to a destination may not work. Sometimes you gotta just chill out at a spot, rest, and then carry on. It's like running a marathon. But most people want to treat getting onto the pro tours like a sprint. It doesn't work that way. Life takes us on twists and turns. But
And
as long as you keep the goal in mind, we will get there. And be smart about it, right? Don't just see things as you are. See things as they are. Oh, my swing needs to look like Adam Scott's before I get on tour. Well, how about getting your short game like Jim Furyk's? That might be more useful. Yeah, try to break down the drivers of success for whatever you do. I mentioned this earlier in the podcast. Go read books by Mark Brody. What
yeah,
what what are the key separate skills with high separation values? Well, everyone on tour has to hit fast. So guess what? Get to the gym, learn how to sequence your swing so you produce high club head speed. And then get really good from 175 yards and in. And be a master around the greens. Don't be practicing easy chip shots that are on the long side. Again, make your practice so difficult that you feel like giving up every time. Then when you go on a golf course, like, oh, this game is quite easy. Well, because your level of training was so high, so intense, so painful, so humiliating. Then you don't have to face all these emotions on the golf course.
I have a question on that for you. And I don't want to say most people, but I'm going to say most people for lack of vocabulary. A significant number of people prefer to prioritize playing golf versus practicing. Yet they often will share, I'm so committed to my goal to improving. So for the listener who says he or she is keen and committed to becoming a better golfer, yet the ratio of playtime to practice time is heavily skewed in favor of only playing, what's the message that they need to hear about updating or revisiting their relationship with practice?
So golf is not black and white, it's 50 shades of grey. If you only want to play golf and your stroke average is 70, who am I to say that you're going to spend more time on the practice range?
Fair.
And if all you do is to hang out on the practice range and your stroke average is 70, again, hey, if it works for you, go for it. But if your stroke average is not where you think it should be, then it would be necessary to take a step back and just evaluate your processes, to evaluate what you're doing right now.
Well said.
And find where the low-hanging fruits are. Usually the solution can be found in low-hanging fruits. So for example, some of my players, they slice it. The first low-hanging fruit I go is ball position. Oftentimes it's always too far forward in the stance, closer to the lead foot rather than the trail foot. And I always do this drill with my lady golfers. Have them tee up the ball in the middle of the stance. It's really difficult to slice when the ball is in the middle of your stance because your path is still inside out. And if you've got a fairly strong grip, then they'll start seeing the ball curve from right to left for the first time in their life. And it's nothing more exhilarating for me than to see a 60-year-old female golfer squeal with delight at a draw shot. And guess what? After her round, she's going to be telling her other 60-year-old friends. And that's the best advertisement, word of mouth.
So let me get you out of here on this, Justin. Or go ahead, finish that thought for me.
So for your golfers that were looking to revisit the ratio of practice and play, take a step back, evaluate what you're good at, start to take notes of your game, keep statistics, and that will give you a rough idea. Tell the best predictor of scores for me is greens in regulation. So a really, really simple formula. So if you hit 10 greens on average in a round, then you're going to take 10 multiplied by 2, that's 20. And then you're going to take 95 less 20, that should be where you are, 75. As a general rule of thumb. I did not come up with that. There was a mathematician that used to work for the USGA that came up with that rule of thumb.
So greens in reg times 2, subtract
95
by 20, from 95.
95, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Roughly.
Yeah.
So then you go like, okay, how do I raise my greens in regulation? Well, if I'm flipping sand wedges onto the green most of the time, it's easy, right? And then we go, okay, how do I flip wedges in? Well, I've got to hit my driver really long and straight. Right?
You can reverse
I'm trying to find that guy for you. I think it's interesting. Maybe I'll just give it to you after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious because I've been fascinated not only with this conversation, but the more I've learned about you in preparation and seeing, and even having some mutual friends, I'm excited for this relationship to continue. What is your focus for 2025? What are you committed to and prioritizing, whether that's golf, professionally or personally?
I always want to be a better version of myself. It doesn't really matter what I learn, if I learn something. I'm always open to learning things. So it could be helping my students get better faster. It could be maybe in this when it comes to finances, you try to make the better decisions, and I guess put your family in a better position financially. Yeah. So again, it's just I know that sounds very broad, but it's just trying to push myself. Hey, yesterday I did a run. I did it in 12 minutes. Can I shave it off to 11:58? And I think that's the mindset that I want to have. And it's not just for 2025. It's like my philosophy.
Yeah. Well said. Well, Justin, where can our listeners go to connect with you, learn more from you, continue to review and study the wealth of information that you are and that you share?
I can be found on Instagram at Elite Golf Swing. I respond to all DMs. And for the stuff that I teach, it's very difficult to put it down into a manual as you were asking me earlier. I do have a short game matrix that I send to all my players, but apart from that, I don't have anything that is published on the internet for the very reason I'm still in business. Why would I want to give away my secrets for free? Yeah,
Well,
so connect with me on Instagram. We can have a discussion. I do a lot of online stuff via WhatsApp, via Zoom, and a lot of it is exploring with elite players why they are where they are. And one of the takeaway messages is this, right? And I learned this from an Olympic rower. Does it make the boat move faster? If it doesn't, why do it? So it's the work that I do with players is basically helping themselves understand their position in life and why they are there.
Very well said.
And then, okay, if it's your golf swing, yeah, sure, we can work on that. I was deep into that for the early part of my life, and I realized that that's not the answer. It's part of the answer, but that's not the answer.
Justin, thank you so much for this incredibly valuable conversation. I know I've learned a tremendous amount. I genuinely am so grateful our paths crossed. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, Paul, and for inviting me on the podcast.
You are welcome. And for those of you listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I know you found immense value in today's episode. So go ahead, make sure you share it with your fellow golfing buddy, and go back and listen to this episode at least 2 more times. Have a note-taking approach ready, because there is so much you can learn and take action and apply to become not only a better golfer, but the best version of yourself. And if you haven't done so already, it takes 30 seconds to leave a genuine rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to today's conversation. Thank you again for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Hit 'em straight this weekend, and I'll catch you in the next episode.